Hey there! So meditation is commonly associated with a wide array of benefit, right? People have reported how they feel less stress, less anxiety, stuff like that, to a point where even the top multinational companies are implementing meditation to their employee for them to be more productive. But what is not commonly mentioned is about the negative effects of meditation. Now, the negative effects here is they are a lot more prevalent in meditative practices that is more advanced, like that involves working with your chakra, your energy body, but it is not common in the common mindfulness practices that we do. However, I still think that there is value in knowing what's the potential side effects so that when it happens, we kind of know what is going on and what we can do about it. So with that said, I think a quick context to set here is to understand that meditation is quite an emerging field, right? A lot of people have research on their benefits, but when I search up on the negative, the side effects, I kind of get only like a handful of research, and some of them just say about how it causes you to feel depressed, unhappy, impulsive, and there's not a very consistently validated hypothesis for now. Therefore, I turn to the next best resources to know more about this meditation, which is Pomeranian dogs. Just kidding. Which is people who have meditated for thousands of years and they kind of wrote books about it. But the context that I want to set forth here is that for these people, meditation isn't just something that they do to have a little less stress or to feel a bit more productive, but they are meditating for a spiritual purpose, for them to actually pursue enlightenment. And you may be asking, my, what the heck is enlightenment? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Well, enlightenment has many terms in the past. It is basically the state of being where you feel oneness, bliss, meaning of life. Some people call it Satori, waking up, nirvana. Basically, it is a very cool spiritual experience to have, and I actually don't know how it feels like. I'm just telling you what the book says. But with that said, this state of oneness is also experienced only after you have like thousands of hours of meditation. Kind of like if you play piano, for you to play at this beautiful state of, like a beautiful melody like Chopin, you can't really just play 1 hour and go like, Mom, I can play Chopin. It doesn't quite work that way. It requires for you to practice for thousands of hours. Therefore, this is also where the scientific literature find it a bit challenging to kind of have very consistent research done about it, because common folks like you and I just really can't clock in that 10 of thousands of hours for meditation. But for the people who have done so, they have written books about it, and this is just a compilation of all the books that I have read. Therefore, a quick disclaimer is that I have never experienced any of this state myself, and I just happen to read a lot of books and I compile all these things and I find them to be consistent with my experience, so this is why I'm sharing it with you. So, to explain the whole process is that to get to the state of enlightenment, before you go there, there's a lot of the letting go of the stuff that we hold on to. And this stuff that we hold on to, they are typically like mini traumas or major life trauma that we experience. You may be wondering, what mini life trauma? I live a really good life. Once again, great question. So mini life traumas can be very little things like just, your primary school friend who is kind of staring at you, go like, ha, you stupid. That can actually cause us hurt and hence mini trauma. Or it can also go into larger life experiences like, getting physically abused, having the death of a loved one, or having an accident. So from the perspective I researched, all this stuff, they typically accumulate in our body and our subconscious, even though consciously we may think we have forgotten them. Now, since we store all this emotional wound in our body, when we want to get to this state where we are completely clear, there's gonna be a purification process, which means we are gonna start gradually letting go of this stuff. And one of my friends who described this really well, he says that if all these things comes in with pain, when it goes out, it's also gonna be damn bloody painful. Which I say the books and my own experience is kind of consistent with that statement. And this is where we go to the dark side of meditation, where it just surfaces up so much that you are just meditating, you're in this blissful, beautiful day, and then suddenly, boom, you feel this surge of sadness and you are like, oh my God, am I doing my meditation right? That's about sums up the dark side of meditation. So my personal experience was I was just walking down the park, everything was pretty blissful, joyful, and then suddenly it just boom hit my head that it just goes like, you are a failure. And I'm like, what the heck is this voice? And then I just started feeling all this sadness, and then a lot of these old habits that I worked to let go of, like, comparing with people, all this inner critic, they just come back really strongly. Like for a period of time, all that's looping in my head is all these voices, these negative thoughts, like nothing you do is meaningful, you suck, all these things. And then I'm like, oh my God, what the heck happened to all my blissful state of meditation? So that is a bit of my own personal experience. I would say that for most part, it will be pretty fine if you are able to be seated as the observer self, as the meditator who watch all these things passes. But personally for me, I sometimes fall in and out of it, and I'm just like, But with all those said, know that it also doesn't need to be this way. A really good analogy that I've heard by a book author, he described it this way. If you're at the consciousness level of 2 and you do consciousness practices that is at level 6, that's a bit more intense, you are going to get yourself to 2 to 6 pretty quickly, but at the same time, the degree of side effect that you are going to experience it 4 level. But if let's say you are at a consciousness of level 5 and you're just doing consciousness practice at level 6, it's probably only like 1 degree of side effect. You don't feel it as strongly. But he also say, at the same time, it's nice to be able to pace yourself and go there slowly. But enlightenment is such a powerful state to get into, like this oneness and this joy with God. Are you willing to wait that long? So that's the argument that he put forth. And this is also why I guess in most ancient tradition that advocate having a guru, having someone who have gone through the spiritual journey to be with you, I guess I was just a little bit impatient and like, no problem, I can handle this thing. And then it just becomes like, my God, can I handle this thing? And final thought is that the main intent of sharing this once again is that if you are in it or if you are in this situation, just know that it is normal, and the difference between this is that it will feel like a storm that comes and go as compared to, other kind of challenges that we go through. So if it's too challenging, do remember you can also seek help and ask for people around you to support you. So that's it for this video. If you find it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.